What is up guys, Mr. Who's a Boss here. Welcome to my full review of the PlayStation Vita Slim in 2015 to 2016. The PlayStation Vita. Where to begin? In 2012, the PlayStation Vita was announced to an incredible appeal. We were literally stunned. This thing, the successor to the PlayStation Portable, which was an incredibly good success after a slow start, was set to crush the handheld market. So here is my full review, updated for this current year, of the PlayStation Vita Slim, starting with the build. So when you first pick up the PlayStation Vita Slim, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised by how light it is. Although still retaining the look of a premium and luxury piece of kit, it actually feels extremely comfortable in the hands. The ergonomics are improved from the original and the curved edges make it fit extremely nicely in the hand. It also looks amazing. This actually takes a lot of the visual appeal from the PlayStation Portable and ups it even more with a more modern look. While it is truly great that the PlayStation Vita was the first portable device to have two analog sticks, they lack resistance and they're a little bit too small to be comfortable in long periods of time. The buttons though are extremely nice to press. They have a good amount of travel and are not tiring even after quite a bit of use. The start and select buttons are a little bit too recessed, but this is not a deal breaker because you barely need to press them. The shoulder buttons are as good as they get on a portable device, but that's not to say they're anywhere near as good as something like those of the DualShock 4, and not to mention that you're actually lacking two more shoulder buttons. Now something that actually disappointed me about the PlayStation Vita Slim is that the body actually flexes. Being primarily a plastic construction and taking a significant hit in the build quality department from the original, this device can occasionally creak, flex, bend, and just feel a little bit worrying in your hand. The packaging is so-so. I mean, it looks fairly nice, but comes with little else except for the Vita, the things you absolutely need, and some AR cards. But nonetheless, overall, I'm fairly impressed with the Vita Slim. It's built lightly, it's actually comfortable to hold, it looks very nice, and it's got a matte finish, which is a big upgrade from the original. Moving on, features, which includes functions and capabilities of the PlayStation Vita Slim. Now considering that this review has been updated for 2015 and 2016, I'll be comparing it to those sorts of devices, not to those it was originally released against. So to begin with, we have the display. It is a 960 by 544 resolution LCD panel. And you can tell that even on close inspection it really doesn't actually look that bad. Even though there are phones with the same screen size and 8 times this resolution, I have to say, when you're actually playing, it looks just as good. The colours are still fine, blacks are still fairly deep, and contrast is just about on point. The range of colours is a little bit more natural than those on the original PlayStation Vita with the OLED display, but that is not to say that it looks worse, it just looks a little bit more muted, which some people may prefer. Now the cameras on the device are pretty horrendous. I mean, the rear camera and the front camera produce grainy images in low light, grainy images in high light, and to be honest, it's not something I'd recommend using the PlayStation Vita for. It'll just about cover your needs in terms of augmented reality, but little else. Now in terms of the apps on offer, the PlayStation Vita was released with a wide selection. This was at the time when Android was slightly less developed and was just coming into its own, so compared to those devices in 2012, the PlayStation Vita was actually surprisingly well featured. Since its release though, while Android has skyrocketed with the number of apps sort of doubling or tripling, the PlayStation Vita has plummeted, with it actually losing support for quite a few of its apps. Stuff like Near, YouTube, Facebook has all been taken and updates no longer being supplied. Having said that though, the fact that you can even use things like maps, go on the internet, surf the web, check your emails on your portable games device is more than we can say about the previous generation, and perhaps in some cases even the 3DS. Although the 3DS does offer these features, the PlayStation Vita and Vita Slim do it better. Just as an example, I mean the YouTube app on the Vita looks just like the competing platforms did about 4 years ago. The speakers on the device are one of its highlights, beating still most devices that don't specialize in them. Then we have trophies, which is like an added layer of incentive to actually play the games. On top of all the in-game rewards you receive, you'll receive this sort of overarching reward system. So you'll be rewarded by a bronze trophy for just trivial tasks, a silver for difficult tasks, and a gold for sort of tasks which actually require real skill. And then there's obviously the platinum trophy, which is sort of so difficult to actually achieve that people actually take a lot of pride in them. And that actually makes it a really great system, and I think it does actually help people to play games. Then you have the internet browser, and while not quite as fully functional as an Android device or an iPhone, it is actually pretty good. It's quite fast, the screen is easy to read on, and the screen is also large enough for you to have enough real estate to enjoy the experience. So now, the most important category, performance. So jumping back a few years to 2011, when we first saw demos of the PlayStation Vita, or NGP as it was called then, playing Uncharted Golden Abyss, we were literally gobsmacked. The PlayStation Vita was showcased as being able to actually provide the first handheld console experience, and they weren't kidding. Playing Uncharted Golden Abyss really did feel like you were holding a console in your hands. This thing filled a void that the 3DS didn't, and really satisfied a lot of hardcore gamers. The PlayStation Vita had a seriously strong lineup, releasing alongside games like Unit 13, Wipeout 2048, and Everybody's Golf, all of which were pretty well received. And although none of these quite lived up to the sort of wonder that was Uncharted Golden Abyss, at least in the visual department, they were still very pleasing to the eye. There were also some real letdowns in 2012 though, such as Call of Duty Black Ops Declassified and Assassin's Creed Liberation, both of which had incredible potential, but both of which let down. 2013 was a good year for the Vita, with games like Muramasa Rebirth and Killzone Mercenary excelling extremely well. There was then obviously the hope that PlayStation 4 would bring a revival to the system with its remote play functionality. And it's games like Muramasa and Killzone Mercenary which truly demonstrated what the system is capable of, and that it really could pull off true console quality games that looked, felt, and sounded like real console experiences. It was really nice to see. And then by 2014 things really started to plummet. Of the few games it received, Borderlands 2 is obviously the main pull, and this could have actually been really great, being an incredibly good game. And while the fact that you can play this whole thing on the go is impressive, the port really is shoddy, with issues left, right and centre. And things didn't really improve in 2015, with support for many apps removed, and the games just becoming more of the same. Having said that though, looking back at the PlayStation Vita library, it is very solid. I mean, right from its launch window, right through to the end of 2013, we were getting consistent releases, some real AAA titles there, and titles which you cannot get a similar experience on the go. Things like Sound Shapes, things like Gravity Rush, things like Persona 4 Golden, these were true gems and experiences that cannot be had elsewhere. The performance of the device, in terms of the actual experience of gaming it offers, really is quite something else. So, the verdict. Sony created a real masterpiece. The PlayStation Vita, amongst all its flaws, is a stunning piece of kit. They've managed to create something that has really stood the test of time, that even today, 4 years after it was first announced, the PlayStation Vita can still compete with modern devices in terms of screen quality, battery life, controls, graphics, and features. Whilst far from cutting edge in this day and age, it still offers something that you cannot get elsewhere. The ability to play full-featured console games on the go, the ability to actually use hardware controls, the ability to collect trophies, it's all something that is really just PlayStation and not really something your Android phone can replicate. Whilst compared to the original PlayStation Vita, the PS Vita Slim has definitely lost some of its build quality. This is easily made up for by its slimmer, lighter build, inbuilt memory and longer battery life. So it's definitely the model I'd recommend you get. Anyway guys, thanks for watching, I hope you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for more.